Okay, Mr. Chairman.
All right. We will call the February 22nd, 2022 Fire District 5 Fire Commissioners meeting to order. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. Any commissioner absences coming up other than the two tonight that showed up anyway? All right, seeing none, we'll keep on moving. Any communications to the board?
No communications this week.
All right. I have a motion to approve the minutes of the January 25th and the February 8th, 2022 commissioner meetings.
Motion to approve the January 25th, 2022 minutes. Second.
I'll second.
We also need to do the February 8th, Commissioner. Sorry if you missed that.
Yeah,
Say again?
we need to do February 8th. It was a typo in the last agenda. that
No,
we
I
missed.
understand, but I was doing it separately.
All right, you want to do them separately? We can. All right, so it's been, I'll second that. And so it's been moved and seconded January 25th, 2022 meeting minutes. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. How about for February 8th?
Motion to approve February 8th, 2022 minutes.
I'll second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please, for February 8th.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. How about some voucher approvals? Can you see it in the sunlight, Bryce? Is it too dark, too bright down there, reflected off the screen, or?
I got it.
All
I'll
right.
move that we approve the accounts payable vouchers as outlined in the agenda totaling $102,268.69.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the grand total of vouchers. All in favor, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Incy,
Yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Urvina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. Any reports from 3390 tonight?
I talked to President Flick and he does not.
All right, then we're in Chief's report.
Great. First, I think I reported it last time, but Chief Johnson has been moved. We're calling it Assistant Chief of Special Projects, and he's going to focus on the bond. And Assistant Chief Black will be the Assistant Chief Temporary of Logistics through August 12th. And Noah Falk has accepted the temporary position of Division Chief of Logistics until August 12th. So that gives us some time to have Chief Johnson focusing on the bond. And we backfilled for him with Noah and Chief Black. So we're excited for that. Also wanted to let you know that we put out a notice to hire lateral paramedics. We have 2 open FTEs this year because we had some people drop out late in the process. So we have them budgeted, and we have 2 FTEs in this year's budget. We're coming short on paramedics because of promotions. So we started the process to hire some lateral paramedics, minimum of 2, and it kind of depends if anybody else announces a retirement between now and then. We can react and maybe hire more, but that's our plan right now. Let you know that with the 4th platoon and with staffing, we've been able to staff Engine 53 out at Fox Island last week. Intermittently, we've been able to staff a water tender and an extra medic unit. So we're excited. You know, we made that promise as a team before I got here that we're going to staff up, and now it's time to staff out. And that's what we're continuing to do. And with hiring of those 2 new paramedics, we'll have even more staffing to do that in the future. Finance director, we had our first round of interviews, and it's getting narrowed down, and we have a second round in the next week or so. So I just wanted to report that we had a great list of candidates, and we're excited about the prospects, and we're moving forward with that process. With South Kitsap Fire, I have met with their fire chief a few times. As we have a border with South Kitsap, they're probably our closest partner as far as responses, especially up north with Station 56. But because we're in a different county, we have different dispatch. We have both been frustrated that he and I want to work well together, but we have dispatching issues. So we brought the 2 dispatchers together, and the 2 of us looked at the 2 dispatchers and said, we need you to help fix this. We've been making some progress. We have some more meetings come up, but I'm excited that the 2 dispatchers took it serious and are trying to come up with some solutions for us. With that, we also have some radios that don't always work on the same frequencies. So we're having another meeting together next Friday. But what I want to report mostly is between South Kitsap Fire and ourselves, we are working to try to fix those CAD dispatch issues and the radio issues. And we have some meetings coming up in the next couple of weeks to try to do that. I wanted to let you know it's down in the upcoming events, but we do have badge pinning for our 2 most recent lateral firefighter paramedics this Friday, 4 o'clock here at 5:00. And I wanted to let you know about that and invite you here. And the last thing to report on is next week will be my 1-year anniversary here. So it's time for my performance evaluation. I've talked to Commissioner Wilsey. I have in the process today been putting together my self-evaluation, and I will be emailing the self-evaluation and my job description and all that to Commissioner Wilsey later this week. So that's all I have for chief report. Any questions or anything anybody else wants to hear about?
All right, seeing none, move on to, thank you, Chief. We'll move on to standing committee reports. Have any standing committees that need to report out?
We've had 2 standing committee meetings, but the finance subcommittee and the fleet and facilities. I think, Commissioner, with your permission, the fleet and facilities will jump in when I'm reporting about the capital facilities plan, if that's all right.
Okay, that works.
And I'll speak up for the finance committee. We have seen a couple presentations from bond counsel. We're going to continue to meet as a committee, and then I believe the intention is to present that to the board shortly, very quickly. But we are still going to kind of meet and make some decisions. Our recommendation is, are we going to use a financial advisor or just the underwriter, or a combination of both? Well, we'll have to use the underwriter either way, but we could also use the financial advisor in tandem with them. And then hopefully we can make a recommendation to bond counsel here shortly as well. Anything, Kevin, to add to that? Okay, Kevin, you're muted, buddy.
I'm sorry. No, since I wasn't able to attend because of work, I don't have anything. Got all the paperwork, but here in front of me, but nothing to add since I wasn't there.
All right. That takes us to the financial report. Chief Oldenburg.
Good evening, commissioners. I'll go ahead and get this pulled up and make sure everybody can see. Can everybody see the monthly budget report? All right. So just a couple of things here. This will be my first opportunity to walk through the budget report with you. And I wanted to make a few comments. There's an area right here. Normally would have revenue in it. We did have a safer reimbursement this month, but it posted after we made this budget report within the last day or two. So you'll see some dollar values in there next month as normal. Obviously, this is the first month moving through, so all the numbers are going to be low. I will bring your attention to another one that's a little bit higher than the 8%. And that's because we posted that bill to South Sound 911. We paid for the entire first quarter budget. So that came through and was processed in January. Other than that, everything seems to be trending normal on here. We don't have any anomalies or concerns. I will point you to one more place down here in the bottom. If you can see that number there, that number changed this year because that's 16.67% of our proposed budget. And because our budget increased this year, that number went from 4.9 million to 5.5 million, which is acceptable because we already exceed that number right here at 6.8. So our reserves are okay, but just remember that, and we're watching it here, right? That 16.67 is a percentage of our new budget. So that did increase in January. But aside from that, everything is trending normal and we feel comfortable with the current budget and where we're at. Any questions on the budget report? That is all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Takes us to Chairman's report. Let everybody know there'll be a letter coming out from me to hopefully several publications, just putting out our request to improve our facilities and support the bond. So just want to make everybody aware of that. Hopefully look for that in your local circulation, hopefully soon. All right. So I think we're back to you, Chief, with the capital facilities report.
Great. I did want to start with what Commissioner Urbina was talking about and get some direction. So as he was talking about, we need to make a decision, the subcommittee and the committee as a whole, or the commissioners as a whole. Do we go with a bond or a municipal advisor, or just a bond underwriter and bond counsel? And we have been talking and asking different bond counsels through presentations what we should do, or we've been asking other departments, what have they done, what's their experiences. So we're meeting on that here pretty soon with Kevin and Joe. But I guess my question is, we're starting to run into a time crunch. So we have to have this kind of wrapped up 3/22. We have to have bond counsel. We have to have language. We have to have quite a few decisions by 3/22. So in process, I guess, is it okay if the committee makes that decision? Do we bring it back in 2 weeks to formalize that? I guess, Commissioner, I'm a little worried about running into a time crunch if we wait 2 more weeks to make that decision, when we have to have all that done in 4 weeks. Does that make sense? Joe, do you have any input on that, or what we should do here?
I absolutely agree with you. It's getting tight. I personally have my own mind kind of made up, but I don't want to influence you guys. So I'd love any input from the rest of the commissioners.
So how many more do you have to interview?
I don't think we plan on interviewing any further.
Okay, so you guys are done with the interview process.
Correct.
So is it cutting it too short, Chief, to have a recommendation to us by our next meeting on the 8th?
Well, I'm a little worried about that because that's 2 weeks away, and then we got to hire them and get them on board, and then everything done for 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later, yeah.
So you know, I'd kind of like to be able to do it before, you know, in the next week.
Yeah. Because
Sorry,
the
I
bond
put us
resolution
in a,
has to be written and prepared before the 22nd.
yeah.
And so if we don't hire them until 2 weeks prior,
The
I don't know how
bond
long
council
it'll take to get done.
probably can get that done, but you know, because there's a lot of templates, we just kind of pick different ones. So it's not a big deal. But if we go to the municipal advisor route, which I kind of like, I think it takes a lot of work off staff. But they do the process of hiring the bond underwriter and the bond counsel and doing all that work. So anyway, I should have brought this a little quicker to you, but we've been hearing from municipal advisors, bond underwriters, meeting with bond counsel last week to try to make these decisions. And now we're kind of running.
Chief, does Chief Oldenburg feel the same as you?
I think we're both leaning that way. You know, either way we go, I don't think it's a bad deal. I think the bond underwriter will do a great job. I just think that bringing on that municipal advisor gives us just a little more expertise on our side and takes a little bit of weight off of us to do some things as a staff.
Was the municipal advisors, was that the first group that we met with?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, I agree. Yeah, I agree. That's, with that, about bringing them on, I think it would really be beneficial for us to do that.
I think the issue we've got going right here is the board and only the board can make decisions. Two commissioners can't make a decision. So my thought is, as a board, should we vote to give the chief the authority to move forward with this? Now we're on legal ground. The committee just doesn't have the authority. Am I making sense to you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I was going to recommend, if Chief Oldenburg and Chief Doan and myself and Kevin all feel the same way, I don't know that we need to meet again.
And it sounds like you do, just judging from this conversation.
So is it appropriate not having that agenda item in the agenda to make a motion on that? Can we still do that?
We can make a
Tonight?
motion tonight to
That's what
allow the chief to move forward with the municipal advisor.
that's what I'm hoping to do.
Go
I
ahead.
think we'd be on good firm ground if we do it that way.
Well, then I move
Yeah.
that we allow the chief to hire a municipal advisor and move forward with the process.
Second,
All right, it's been moved and seconded for the chief to hire a municipal advisor to move us through the bond process. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Incy,
yes.
Commissioner Sudich,
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson,
Yes, sorry, couldn't get my mute button unmuted.
Commissioner Urbina,
Yes.
Chairman Wilsey.
Yes. All right,
I
chief.
do
Got the
have one
fast track.
question. I'm sorry,
Go ahead, Tom.
You were saying that the municipal advisor will get the bond underwriter and the council pending approval from the board. Am I correct? He'll bring those entities, so to speak, to the board.
Well, if we're waiting another 2 weeks to do that, that's the bond council's partially what we need. We need them to get to work in the next week or so. So do I need, if we get the municipal advisor, do you guys want me to bring back their decision on the bond underwriter and the bond council too, or is it the same process?
Well, I was under the understanding we gave you the authority to take care of all three of the people involved, so to speak.
Yeah. The municipal advisor, that is part of their process, is to get those two entities working, correct?
I'll
Correct.
still bring it back to affirm it. How about that? But you're giving me the authority to do that. All contracts come back to you anyway to be approved.
So hopefully, my hope is that at the next meeting, we can approve those. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, yeah, and I apologize for putting us in this short time window. I should have had it a couple of weeks ago, but we had a fleet and facilities meeting. So let me back up a few weeks. You know, we've had this is why we did this, right? We got the capital facilities plan done. I made my recommendation, and this time period has been a time to listen to the community, to listen, you know, for us to wrestle about what we should do. I've met with mayor, council, got their feedback, different community leaders. We're all out there listening to the recommendation, and we're adjusting now, right? Until 3/22. So we had made some changes to the last presentation, moving Station 51 up. In our last fleet and facilities meeting, and Commissioner Nelson and Urbina, jump in here when you're ready. But in our discussions, one of the things that we talked about as a team is we think that we should bring 53 and 57 up in the priority scale for a couple of reasons. Number one, when we start working on 51, 58, and 59, that's the two stations that the companies need to go to while we're working on those stations. The second thing that we're looking at is just the logistics building. I think we all recognize that there's a need for the logistics building, but is that the right place to put that behind Station 51? That's some pretty, if we were to move into that area, we would have to forest that area, right? We would have to move our property line back. That may be a difficult process to go through. So I think as a committee, we said, what if we know training campus is still our number one priority. We move Station 53 and 57. There's smaller projects up next because we need to move 51, 58, and 59 into those two stations when we're building them. We uncouple the logistics building from Station 51 and from that project and from putting it there. We do 58, 59, and then we put a placeholder behind those for that logistics building. And some of our discussion was, what if we look for some existing property or some existing buildings around the district that may suit our needs for logistics? So let me summarize, and I'll let commissioners you jump in. I think we're still looking at 80 million. We still believe training is our number one priority. We're going to ask Rice Fergus Miller to put it in this order with a new costing for us to help us with our decision. So it would be 80 million, training facility, move 53 and 57 up to next in order, 51 next without the logistics building, 58, 59, and put a placeholder for logistics at the end there, and do some more due diligence on maybe another way of doing that logistics building. So we've asked Rice Fergus Miller to look at our timeline, make that a realistic timeline with those objectives. We also have asked them to, with their expertise, to relook at the cost escalation, that might be a little bit low, and then give us a new spreadsheet with all of that information. So I'll pause for a minute and let Commissioner Urbina and Nelson jump in.
So Joe, you want to go first? Go for it.
No, the only thing that I was going to bring up is Chief had recommended when we go back to Rice Ferguson Miller to look at a 7% escalation instead of the 6%, I believe. And I think that's prudent. It's going to give us a little bit more room. And I just think, I don't know how else to say this, except we need to make sure that we finish what we intend to start. And I don't want to not complete any of the projects that we go to to the public to ask them to bond for us. So I thought that was a great idea, Chief. Bryce, go ahead.
I just want to add, I think that sort of slowing down on the logistics building and really looking around and determining whether there's some sort of commercial property within the district that could be adapted for that use, where we may wind up paying rent for a facility like that, but with the amount of money that Rice Fergus Miller is estimating to build the building, that could be many, 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 many years of rent, for that cost. So I think that it's prudent for us to look into that. And then in the end, if we're able to accomplish logistics for less money, that could we talked about that red line in that chart. That could mean we get another station accomplished, because I think in the conversation of the subcommittee, it's a higher priority to accomplish response stations than it is to get that logistics building built. As important as logistics is, I'm not trying to undersell the importance of it. I think response capability is more important. And then getting back to 53 and 57, I mean, we've kind of alluded to in the future, we're moving out more than moving up. I think that if we assume a 4, 5, 6 year timeline for these bond projects, we're going to be moving people into those facilities at least temporarily when the stations are built. And it's entirely possible that people never move back out, that we're at the point in 5 or 6 years where we're able to staff 53 and 57 full time. So by moving those projects up, we're having those stations ready for people to move into when we're tearing down and rebuilding 51, renovating 58, renovating 59. And there's going to be people there. And then, like I said, by the time those other stations are ready to be opened back up and have people move back in, we may have the personnel to just staff 53 and 57. So I think it's a good use of resources to do that.
Do you guys have any questions for us? Any input?
Well, I'll have Rice Fergus Miller put that together. We are getting to decision time, right? So I'll have them put that together with the 80 million as our goal, training, 53, 57, 51, take off logistics, move it behind 58 and 59 as a placeholder for logistics, see where we're at. And we'll still have another meeting in 2 weeks if it doesn't work out or there's something new or a hiccup. And then on 322, what we'll need to do is define the projects, have a draft of the bond language, and then that'll be a time for public input. And then 412 will be the finalization of the bond. So we can still adjust after 322 by taking input, but we got to have at least the draft and the project list, and then we'll really affirm it. It'll be final on 412. So
and to add to what Joe said, I mean, I'd love to hear from Alex, Kevin, and Tom, just to let us know that our priorities aren't out of whack in terms of how we're kind of shifting things around and what we're prioritizing.
As far as me listening to what you guys are saying and being there, it makes sense. What you were saying, made complete sense, and where the value lies in those decisions. I can understand what you guys are saying and the priorities, and so what you explained made total sense to me. So
I think what I'd like to see, and it's going to be down the road somewhere, is at 52 and 56, at the very least brought up to the standards of 53 and 57. Not a big, huge remodel, but at least comparable to those two stations. That would be my only input.
The only question I have, is we kind of shifted and did 51 in the training center first because it would be more of a savings to accomplish those first. So are we going to be losing a little bit of ground on saving money if we shift it around that way?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. We wrestled with that too. And I think, we still have training first. And if we move 53 and 57 next, you're right, it will push out 51 just a little bit. But those two are pretty small projects. They're adding a bay on the outside. I don't think they're year-long projects like a 58 or a 59 would be. So yeah, we will lose a little bit of time by doing that. And so let's look at the cost escalation when Rice Fergus Miller, and maybe we'll adjust. So we got to weigh do we need 53 and 57 done for 51, 58, and 59 to move into versus the escalation? So that's a good question. It is one of them that we wrestled with.
All right. And then, yeah, I don't, the logistics warehouse, wherever it ends up, there's plenty of places we could possibly put it, but yeah, it's just a matter of, I don't know about some of the outlying stations, putting a kind of a big warehouse behind a station that's, in a quiet country setting a little bit may not be the best. That's kind of probably 51 got put up there anyway, but anyhow, yeah, I'll be curious. I do believe that there should be some industrial property somewhere that we'd be able to use, but yeah, that's my only concern with that one.
Yeah, we're as we redo these stations, we're moving logistics out of them, so we have to find a place for them. We can't just not do it. But is it a better use of that money to do it a little differently? Station 51 is in the city, and if we try to extend that lot, just think of all the permitting and then that forested area. We'd be putting a retention pond in. We'd be moving gas pumps. Maybe by doing this a little differently, we might even save some money on 51 too. That's what I'm hoping. So.
All right.
And the other, along what Chief Doan was saying, when we put up the PDF of the overview of 51 of the kind of lot layout, I think that we can, based on that, we can build the fire station within the current paved footprint of that lot. So we wouldn't have to cut down any trees or anything like that. And I think that our concern as a subcommittee when we talked about it was, you start dealing with all kinds of permitting issues with the permitting authority, which is the city, when you're leveling currently forested land, and you've got neighbors behind there that, their view goes from a forest to a working fire station. And so it gets complicated if we get rid of all those trees in that area. And it's still technically 2 lots and it hasn't been combined yet. So there's just complications there that we felt like we could save some money by kind of pushing logistics off to the back end of it.
All right. Is that it for capital facilities?
Yep, we'll work with Rice Fergus Miller. I'll get it to you as fast as I can. We'll make decisions on bonded or municipal advisor, bond underwriter, and bond counsel, and I'll make sure and have that for you in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Chief
Any other old
Oldenburg,
business?
Sorry, Chief Oldenburg, we made a decision without asking you on municipal advisor and bond underwriter and stuff. I think you and I have talked enough that municipal advisor was kind of where we were leading. It's too late now, so.
It's your choice. We have
All right.
time. We have time to address that. It'll work fine.
All right. Any other old business anybody needs to bring forward? All right, we'll move on to new business. So Chief Oldenburg, post-retirement medical program review.
Good evening, commissioners. Once again, I'm going to share the screen. This is in your packets. In February of 2019, I believe there was this resolution was approved for the retiree medical reimbursement. The recommendation was for us to do a review of that after 3 years. And so that is this month. And so we had staff work on a review of that program, current program. A number of the bullet points are here. When it was approved in 2019, the rate per member was $527 that was approved in the resolution. And as it states here, due to the ability of the trust to keep those pass-through costs low, that has not increased since 2019. So that 80% is still 527, which is a pretty good accomplishment on their part. There's some numbers here in the middle that talks about it. We currently have 16 members who are participating in this post-retirement medical plan. We have 5 that were on a previous monthly reimbursement of $500. We have 11 members who are currently on the 527. We anticipate potentially 1 retirement in 2022, maybe 2, but we're anticipating and been notified of 1 at this point in time. Let's see here. We did make a recommendation here that based upon our current review of the program, it has no increased costs, that we would recommend no current changes to the program. I will say that it is beneficial to the district for us to be notified in advance when people are going to retire. So that helps us in the planning and the budgeting and things like that. As I put in here, it may be even more beneficial in the future to review exactly when that application is put in. It's hard for employees to determine a long time in advance when they potentially would retire. But if they gave us more warning in the previous year, we could probably get that into our budgets in a timely manner and budget for that. We are currently doing that now, but the more time we have on the front end, the easier it is for us to appropriately budget for those costs. So there is benefit to the system. The costs have not increased in the last 3 years. I do not believe that there is actual action required by the board, but this would be your review and update at this point in time, consistent with what you recommended 3 years ago when you approved it. I'll stand for questions from the commission. All right, hearing none, that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you, Chief Oldenburg.
Yep.
All right, that takes us to open public comment. Anybody wishing to address the board, please state your name for the record and you will have 3 minutes. Looks like we got Carl.
Yeah, Carl Kreitzer, I live in Gig Harbor. I just ask if it wouldn't ruffle anybody's feathers, a request, might I get a copy of the facility spreadsheet when it's done?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. Don't want to jump on you, but we'll have it here at the next meeting for sure.
I'm just asking, I would like to see it before there's action on it. It's the only thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Carl. Anybody else out there? All right, seeing none, I don't see any hands being raised or anybody moving around. So, all right, we'll move on. Good of the order.
Question
Go ahead.
under good of the order. Since the mask mandate is going to be lifted on March 21st for everything, means we can now become human again. Does that mean we're going to go back even or March 21st? That means March 22nd meeting could be a live meeting. Are we going to go back to that now?
I don't think we're prepared yet to go to the hybrid. We still have to get that into place. Where did we leave off on that last meeting?
So my question is this, and I'm just throwing this out there because I'm not totally understanding that. If we hadn't been under the mask mandate, so to say, or we hadn't been under this the Corona stuff, all this stuff, we'd still be meeting in person, correct? Nothing would have changed. We would have continued meeting in person. So why does all of a sudden does this hybrid thing, because the mandates are lifted, the mask mandates are lifted, the indoor, we're going to drop our mask at school, everything else. Why does having the public meeting still depend on this hybrid thing? The hybrid thing, they can keep working on that. I mean, a public meeting is the open public meeting. Anybody can come. So, I mean, understand the hybrid, and that gets out to more people of who wants to look in on it on YouTube or whatever. But why should that affect us meeting as normal?
No, talking it through, I don't see why we couldn't meet in person, but I'd say that the mask mandate is over, but the pandemic is not quite over yet. But it depends on people's comfort level, obviously. And, the thing that I would hate to do, especially when we're going to be going out for the bond and the levy lid lift, is to try to cut anybody out from being able to have access to us or this platform.
And I think that regardless of the mask mandate and that sort of thing, I think that we are still required to provide like the technological capacity for people to participate remotely. And I think we've talked in past meetings about building that capacity at 5.0, and I don't think that build out is ready yet. And I would say once it's ready, then yeah, we get back to in-person meetings, but without the technological capacity to do that yet, I think that as frustrating as Zoom can be, this allows a broader array of citizen input than we could get if we met in person. Plus, I mean, if there's commissioners or chiefs or anything like that have concerns about, regardless of the mandate, but like Alex said, I mean, the pandemic's not over. If there's people that still have concerns about meeting in public, this allows them, once we get the technological capability built up, they can still participate. But just sticking with Zoom for now allows people to participate remotely if they're concerned about their own safety.
Okay. So, okay. Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, because if we hadn't have had this, we would have still be meeting as a norm, right? We would still be meeting in public as we've done for me for 19 plus years, right? Is there something in state law? Is there something under public PDC? Is there something under Public Meetings Act? Is there something that would have forced us to change to go to what we're looking at right now? If we weren't under this COVID thing and everything that has occurred over the last 2+ years, where we had been required to go and seek out this new type of media, social media, or whatever you want to call it, to get out to the public. We've been required to do it.
Tom, you wanted to say something, or are you going to answer Kevin?
Both.
Okay.
The seminars for years and years, multiple attorneys have said, don't record, don't videotape, don't do any of that stuff. Because once you do it, you cannot go back. Well, we can't go back. COVID was COVID. If a frog had wings, the rest of the story. But we can't just unilaterally say, well, we're not going to do this anymore. We're into it. This hybrid model that Chief Black is facilitating, I think is going to be for the betterment of the district. I think we've all agreed to go that direction. That's all. Thank you.
So Tanya does have her hand raised. I'm not sure if there's input there.
Yeah, go ahead, Tanya.
I just wanted to comment that under the governor's proclamation, we are required to offer both a hybrid and in person. And I don't know with the lifting of the mask mandate if that repeals that portion of the governor's proclamation. We would have to research that.
But that's okay. So that's a good answer, Tanya. Thank you. That does clarify some of that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin, we could all meet and, bring our, laptops into, headquarters and sit there in the room all together and do this like we're doing now.
You see, that's what
I have
happens.
no problem with that.
That's what happens when you have time to sit at home and not do anything because you're not working. You start thinking about things, and it's dangerous. So no, I was just, I'm looking through things. Sometimes I just need to not think so much. So I'm just curious. It doesn't bother me one way or the other, but I was just kind of curious over the requirement in regards to that and everything. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
And Kevin, I think we'll get an update from our attorney shortly. Every time there's been a change, they've updated us, and I haven't seen an update on that yet.
Mr. Chairman, FYI, we have a citizen with their hand raised.
All right, well, we'll allow him in. Mr. Hargroves.
Yes, sir. This is John Hargroves here in Gig Harbor. I was
Yeah.
just, Chairman Wilsey, I was just going to comment on exactly what you said. As cumbersome as it may be, each of you have your laptops there in front of you to be able to zoom in. Of course, then that permits, as the current situation that you're doing today, permits the the community to be there as well if they choose not to attend physically.
Yeah, I think the only thing that the challenge we face with that, Johnny, is that the Wi-Fi at headquarters, I don't think has been upgraded. And we would have to at least upgrade that to get a better bandwidth out of it so that we could all simultaneously sit there and be hooked to Zoom and have that meeting. So I think that's our only challenge. And hopefully that should be a fairly easy one to fix. So.
Right. And I understood that. I was looking at that from that perspective, as cumbersome as it may be, if you had the bandwidth, each of your laptops there until you get your hybrid in place.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I look forward to discussing it further and getting some more advisement from the attorneys for the commissioners. They're like, I think it was Chairman Irvina or Nelson said, they're usually very good at getting us the information as soon as something changes. So we just haven't gotten that yet, but I look forward to it, and hopefully we'll have an update here at least by next meeting.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any more good of the order we brought up? All right. Special interest in upcoming events. I think Chief had already said it, but February 25th at 4 p.m. lateral paramedic badge pinning ceremony. I believe that's at headquarters, correct, Chief? Yep. And then April 15th, 2022. Rest of the commissioners, right? Got to get your F1 ins. So get those F1s filed with the Public Disclosure Commission, all online, unless they change it again. So, and then April 30th, the SNEER Saturday Seminar Series at Saguamish Clearwater Casino Resort. So I actually changed my mind. I am going to that one. So I can't remember who else was. Joe? Tom, probably.
No, for those that aren't going to that one, the April 2nd, the same seminar is going to be in Spokane. I'm going to attend that one by way of Zoom, not personally. But I'll be seeing the same information because we all have to get certified every 4 years.
And I'm going in Tom's place now.
The what?
You're going over to Tom's. Watch it.
No, I'm going in Tom's place to he was originally.
Oh,
scheduled
April
to go.
30th.
Yeah, so I'm
the
gonna go
casino?
now. It's my wife's birthday, but I might have to buy her dinner or something.
All right. I look forward to that. And then anything else under special interest for upcoming events? All right. Seeing and hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, March 8th, 2022, right here on Zoom again. Maybe we'll have an update and let everybody know what's going to happen for March 22nd. So thank you, everybody.
Have a good night, all.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.